And we're live.
And we're live.
All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Industry Insider Podcast, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. I am Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I am joined by three lovely guests today. Stephen McFadden. Say hello to the folks from Perfect Promotions and more.
Hello to the folks.
Meg Erber with S&S Activewear.
Hello.
And if you're joining us live, you can see Tony Lametti as well from Ariel. Look at that shirt. Where'd you get that shirt from, Tony?
From my best friend, Megan Erber.
Very cool. Well, listen, Tony, if, I'm sure you've listened to the podcast a few times and you've tuned in. So you know the drill here. I'm going to give you a bit of a platform just to sort of introduce yourself and tell everybody about you and what you've got going on in the promotional products world and how you got started and all that good jazz. You've got a few minutes. You're on the clock now. Get started. Hurry up.
And over.
10 seconds.
Well, thanks. Number one, thank you for having me on the podcast. This is my first podcast I've ever done. I basically started at the bottom in customer service at this little company in Pittsburgh called Leeds. You probably never heard of them before. I got in at the right time. They were growing. Worked my way up through inside sales and then outside sales. So I worked at Leeds, and then I went to their sister company, Bullet, at the time. Headed over to Sweden, and then now I've been at Ariel for probably the last year and a half, I think, at this point. And Ariel's kicking butt. We've been growing about 20% every year over the last 5 years. We've jumped, I think, 14 or 15 spots now on the top 40 ASI supplier list. Wow. And as everyone knows, we're deep into the PPE products. You know, we're selling a lot of face masks. Of course, we're selling lots of hand sanitizers. Two things that we have coming out for PPE. We have a care line. So the care line is going to consist of course, the face masks, hand sanitizers, but we're also going to be bringing out just different items, thermometers. We're looking into that UV light technology.
Those things are really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. My gym actually just installed it.
Oh yeah?
So, yeah. So it helps kill viruses. They have it all throughout the gym. Of course, on top of sanitizing and mopping and cleaning all the equipment down, they just installed UV lights throughout the entire gym. So apparently it works, and you can get these cool little boxes now. You can put your phones in. And
yeah, we have one, and I put my masks in it, and I just close it, and it like UV lights it for like 5 minutes. Is that what you guys are getting? Something along those lines, like a little box, or just like a scanner type thing?
We're looking at all the options, actually.
All right, very cool.
Phone soap.
Let's go back to the gym real quick. So that
so
seems like a huge time savings thing. You can actually work out and get a tan at the same time. Count me in. Now that's efficient right there.
That's a great idea. Maybe you should start a new gym tanning.
I'm telling you, I'm onto something. You know who else is onto something, guys?
Who's that?
Tervis Line. Did you know that? Absolutely.
No.
So Tervis has been around since 19. What's that? No, I didn't forget the sponsor. Come on, seriously? I just wanted to give Tony an opportunity to introduce himself. I'm mixing it up a little bit, guys. Okay. Come on.
I like it.
Tervis has been around since 1946, and they started with their classic line. Sleek styles made for mix this perfect for the active and on-the-go lifestyle. Tervis is the original double-wall insulated drinkware that keeps drinks cold and reduces condensation. If I can talk today, that'd be nice. Backed by a made-for-life guarantee, Tervis is the original customizable double-wall insulated drinkware that keeps hot drinks hot and cold drinks cold. Available in several sizes, including 10-ounce wavy, 16-ounce mug, 16-ounce, and 24-ounce tumblers, and the 24-ounce water bottle. Made from Triton plastic, made in America, lifetime warranty, dishwasher safe, microwave safe, and BPA free. You guys need to check them out. So that being said, Meg, why don't you tell us what we're talking about today?
What are we talking about?
You're like the kid in the back of the classroom. Don't call me. Don't call me.
No, with everything, every week we've had a new topic revolving around COVID. I mean, it's still in our everyday lives, whether it's the pandemic or what's going on because of COVID. And right now we're seeing a lot of states reopening, going into the yellow phase, hopefully soon into the green phase, depending on if they could keep the amount of new cases down. However, with this industry picking up because of the businesses opening back up, we're all looking for go-to-market strategies. And that's why we brought Tony on. He's doing a lot of really cool stuff. So is Ariel. We thought he'd be a great fourth chair today so we can talk about go-to-market strategies.
Awesome. Very good. So Tony, what are your ideas?
Well, with Ariel, we are trying to come up internally with how to approach customers. We have some reps that are already on planes and making sales calls. So the trick is, how do you make that sales call as comfortable and as safe as possible? We came up with this idea called a trunk show. So instead of rolling in all your products and setting up on a table, a conference table, and standing there for an hour, we decided to maybe come up with this idea called a trunk show. It's not an hour. It's going to be about 15 minutes. Could go longer if the customers are interested. But customers can come outside, especially in the nice weather now, to your car. You can open up your trunk. You can show them 5 items. Okay? Couple things you're going to do. You're going to wear a mask. You are going to have sanitizer available for yourself and for your customers. Keep a safe distance of 6 feet or more. And then also, if the customer wants to handle the product, because I think that's one of the things that's kept this industry going, is that you got to touch and feel this stuff.
100%.
Especially when it comes to apparel too. So how do you make that safe? Because everyone's going to be, touching their face and then touching the product. So we thought maybe if it wasn't so weird, I don't know.
It's that Jersey internet. It's not you, Meg.
I was like, oh no, I can't see anything. What's going on? Or
There he is. I think
Did
you're
I just
back.
shut it down? Are we all back?
I think
We
you're
are good.
So you're talking about touching and handling the product. Go.
Right. You got to be careful and sensitive, slow. No, to wear gloves. So hand out gloves, have a little garbage bag. You can throw the gloves away. Nobody touches anything. No one touches each other. It's all safe and sound. So that's what we're going to try to do, as long as the customer feels okay with it, right? In the South, it tends to be a little bit more open. Up north, like I'm sure Megan, I don't think anybody's coming out of the house, or having meetings in New Jersey. And quite frankly, everyone that I talk to, and I got about 6 or 7 people close to me that are in sales, anybody that they're selling to is already working from their homes virtually too.
yeah.
So it's not going to be 10 people packed in a conference room. It's going to just be a one-on-one or maybe 2 or 3 people at a time.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about the like the teacher parades that have been going by and stuff like that. I was like, we could have like a map that sales reps we could create a sales rep map
That is
to our
awesome.
to our homes and be like, just come by our driveways and we'll just come down.
I would love that.
That
I
would be
would
so
personally
cool.
love that. If they all waited outside and I could just come by their house, that would be so cool.
Just walk outside your house and open up the trunk.
You don't even have to get out of your pajamas. No,
That
I
would be
think I
so
like
fun.
that, Tony. I like that whole trunk idea. That's something I'm going to pitch because I really, really like that. I mean, we're doing some virtual stuff right now, and I know SNS put out guidelines of, going to customer meetings, and we were okayed as of June 1st, but nobody up here in the Northeast was even open June 1st, really. And then even now, I don't think most of my customers are even seeing vendors till July or August, but this offers something a little bit different. And yes, people do want to touch and feel. So I like having the gloves. I like having the hand sanitizer and all that. And I did see online they have hand sanitizer wipes for fabric. So I'm going to invest in some of those. But I really like that idea. It's a really great thing. How do you think your customers, our customers, the distributors, Steven, like what are you doing now for go-to-market? Like you had lunch with an industry colleague who ended up being a competitor of yours. I'm sure that was just, were you guys talking about how to the next 5 months look?
So we kept touch base quite often just to kind of see, the health of each other's companies, and personally we get caught up. And I think now more than ever, we definitely need to continue to have those types of conversations. So I know that's a little bit of a different thing, kind of relates to the mentorship thing last week, but go to market's a really tricky strategy. I know, we talked a little bit at our lunch meeting about what our two companies are doing, and I touch base with a lot of other distributors, whether it be through the Facilis network or different other buying groups that we know people in, and just touching base and like, what are you guys doing? And it is different regionally. We've seen a lot of people that have invested more in digital marketing. So whether it be SEO or, email marketing, that's something we're personally looking into doing a lot more than we really ever had. And we're in a unique space where we've been super fortunate. We haven't had to do a lot of self-marketing other than, self-promotions or, occasional gifts or marketing campaigns, but we've been really blessed with a lot of referrals. But, when we're in the time that we're in now, no one's really next to their coworker to give you a referral, and no one's with their friends to give you that referral. The referral network is kind of drying up right now. I think it'll come back later. And actually in the discussion yesterday, I said something and I meant it in a really positive way, and it is a little controversial, but, hearing that some of my customers are either being furloughed or let go, I think it's really easy to see the negative in that, but I actually look at it as an extreme positive. And I mean this in a very good way. We've earned a lot of our new business when someone leaves one company and goes to another. So there's going to be this shotgun approach of a lot of people are going to get displaced, and I hope and pray that they get a new position. I'm not saying that I want them to happen to them, but most of these people are going to land on their feet, if not all of them. And when they do, it'll be at a new company, and it'll be new opportunities. So we're just trying to make sure people know that we're around. I think we've mentioned that a lot, and making sure that we're still just connecting with people in a personal way. And I think we're going to be doing that much more digitally, whether it just be through Facebook and LinkedIn and email marketing. That's going to be our approach for our go-to-market, and that's what we've been doing so far. We've had a lot of positive traction because we've been doing that for the last month and a half now. And we're seeing a lot of pickup right now. We're seeing a lot of activity, a lot of new projects, a lot of good conversations, and more Zoom meetings than I care to admit.
I know, right?
Before
COVID, there was always, people in general were always trying to find unique ways to just reach out to their customers. I think just before COVID, like I'm just going to use my Facebook page as an example. Yesterday, I posted a memory from 2013 where one of my best customers at the time, reached out to me and said, "Hey Meg, let's go skydiving." I'm like, shit. All right, let's do this. So I drove up to Long Island to meet her and we went skydiving. I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon again. So nobody asked me, but what are we going to be doing now? Like, what is the next?
I have to imagine skydiving is very socially distant. There's not a lot of people in the air.
Did you see that guy strapped to my back though? I mean, that's definitely not social distancing.
Yeah. Breathing down your neck. Yeah. So I have a question about the skydiving. Did you actually, did you get the video and all that good stuff?
Oh, I did. It cost as much as the actual skydiving.
I know it's kind of ridiculous, but totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
What we're going to ask you to do is post that video somewhere.
All right, I will. I think it's fun. You'll see I didn't open my eyes for like the first 10 seconds or so.
I've also gone skydiving and I've got the video. It's pretty sweet.
It is fun. Yeah, I'll post it for sure.
I would totally do it again. Of course, now I've got two little girls, so
I know that's really
a little more afraid of doing it, but
yeah, I know. Yeah, but it was beautiful. I could see all of the island, all of Connecticut. It was really pretty. Sorry.
Sweet.
But yeah. So what are we looking at, guys? Like, are we looking at happy hours outside? Are we looking at Starbucks outside? Like, what are we looking at?
Tony mentioned the trunk shows, and I thought that was actually, pretty smart because I know a few of the regionals, at least, at Saguenay, and a few others have actually talked about, doing trunk shows instead of, a traditional sort of indoors trade show. They're looking at doing venues outdoors, or in parking garages or something along those lines. And I think that's all great. I guess the major concerns as the sitting president of CPPA, Megan, it's funny because when you're talking about doing those kinds of shows, I guess you have to work that into the contract. If you're doing something outdoors, as far as like rain delays or, postponements of the event or something like that. I mean, I'm sure there's something that you'd have to work into the contract because, a lot of times, as all the regionals have experienced. And I'm sure even on the national level, PPAI and ASI, I'm sure they've probably experienced similar things with their contracts. But, it's usually once you're locked in, and it's hard to cancel that kind of stuff. So we're at CPBA, we're talking about doing something similar as well, maybe trying to switch our venue to an outdoor venue and possibly doing, the quote unquote trunk show idea. So I think that's a great way to sort of stay socially distanced and, not be indoors. I think you do still have to obviously have people in masks, as you're, talking amongst folks and handling product. You're going to have either gloves or hand sanitizers and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I'm in Maryland, so I'm a little bit further south than you guys. And I know every county is a little bit different as far as what phase they're in as far as the reopening. And, we're everywhere between phase 1 and phase 2. And some of the outlying counties have, been in phase 2 for a couple of weeks now. So I would assume that we'd probably open up into phase 3 eventually here or within the near future. I know Virginia's already talked about entering phase 3. So I would imagine, but the thing that boggles my mind, or where I was trying to go with that, is I'm surprised at how many distributor clients of mine actually aren't back in the office yet. There's still folks working from home, even though we're in phase 2.
Yeah. Well, Pennsylvania says it's still highly recommended to telecommute and to if you can do it.
Yeah, and as does Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing is, like, what are your guys' take on all the spikes that we're seeing? I mean, I know there's 7 states. We talked last week. Charity's in Arizona. Arizona's getting hit hard right now. Arizona, Arkansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida. Texas, and Florida. And I think there's probably 1 or 2 others in there as well. But there's a bunch of states that are actually seeing huge spikes right now. And I don't know if that's because people are just being somewhat irresponsible, or they're not taking.
I think it's that. I definitely think it's being irresponsible.
Asymptomatic transmission very seriously. Which, hey, in a way, for all 4 of us, really, it's great for business because as we're seeing those spikes, there's actually states now making it mandatory. And signing executive orders. There's mayors and governors signing executive orders to make wearing masks in public, a thing. Like if you're,
it should be. It's a courtesy thing,
So I have a question for the 3 of you.
Sure.
As distributors, or nope, suppliers. I'm a distributor. I don't really know, and I don't know that many people are privy to the health of a suppliership. Like I don't know, I know we know everyone's affected. And I have a good pulse on other distributors around me, whether they're up certain percents or down certain percents. I don't know if you can share that information, but personally, like, how are you guys doing? Has the PPE stuff been enough to offset you, drive traffic to the websites? Because I'm just wondering from a go-to-market strategy, we keep talking about we need the trade shows, we need the in-person. Do we? Is it something where we could go digital? We send you free samples. We do email campaigns because obviously they're working to drive traffic to the websites. I don't know. Or is it desperate? Clue me in a little bit. Maybe you can share some information for the other distributors out there that want to know, like, how are you all doing?
Why don't we go to Tony first?
Yeah.
Aero's doing fairly well. Right now we're up 15%. A lot of that increase is from PPE products. However, it is starting to shift. We're seeing a lot more orders come in for what I call traditional promotional products. The one thing that I believe in is that there is nothing in this world that can replace human to human interaction. There's
100%.
Nothing that can replace us sitting down, having a cup of coffee, doing a presentation, and feeling the vibe that you're giving me or about the product or about the presentation, and vice versa. This Zoom and all this stuff is fine for right now, but I truly believe in human interaction and human intelligence over artificial intelligence 100%. Some people can agree with me, and that's fine. But I think this will promote even more human-to-human interaction, but in a safer way. Using the face masks and the sanitizers and whatnot. But I'm hoping that businesses see the importance of humans, especially salespeople, of course, how important it is to have them on your team and on your staff.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you because I think that's why we're in this position. We're in sales. We're in outside sales because we are those extroverts, those people that need that human interaction. I've been saying that last, I don't know how many weeks it's been. Yeah, I agree. And to answer Stephen's question, going into the pandemic, I know we were up, I think 30% year to date, which was great. We had a killer year last year. I think masks in general got us through March, April, May. And I know personally, I'm still up tremendously. I did have a nice cushion. So SNS is in a really good position right now.
Yeah, Headwear's actually in a great position. As a global company, facing a global pandemic and people needing face masks, with Europe making it compulsory to wear them, and now with states here in the United States making it compulsory to wear them, depending on the state that you're in. And I think more will follow suit. I don't think it's just those few. I know Texas, South Florida, California, they've all made it compulsory. So, which basically means it's the law of the land. Like you have to wear a face mask if you're outside. And it should be, with more science coming out or more, data coming out as far as, the people that are asymptomatic that are carrying the virus. And that's how, up to 50-60% of the thing is being spread. It should be a thing that everybody should do. I mean, you should be responsible and wear a mask, whether you think you have it or you don't. It's about those around you, right? And if we're saying that we're really in this together, then let's really be in this together and put a mask on.
Yeah.
And with that being said, like that's really how we've done well, because we did transition into selling face masks and we're doing it globally. And we've sold millions,
same
bucket loads of face masks. It's crazy. And, it's really helped us, the beginning of, end of March, beginning of April was sort of touch and go, but similar to you, Meg, we were up significantly in the first quarter of the year. So we had a bit of a cushion, but, hat sales are probably down to about 60% of where we would normally be. But face masks, like we're selling more face masks than we would ever sell of masks. And, cause it's the hottest product on the marketplace right now.
Yeah.
And, so, it's been huge. It's really helped us, have a really solid year so far. Which feels weird to say, especially, cause I'll talk to some clients and, some clients will be having, phenomenal years as well. And then other clients will be, like I heard somebody the other day, just tell me that they were, probably 10 or 20% of where they would normally be on the year. And, I was just like, wow, that's rough, and so the hardest part is like trying to get everybody on board to sell, the PPE or face masks or whatever. And it's like, man, there's so much business out there. Like you gotta not be quite so doom and gloom and figure out that, hey, like literally it is the best branding opportunity for an end user.
It's a walking billboard. It really is. I tell anyone that has a retail
putting your logo
store.
on the face, like
like
not
a Mike
to
Tyson tattoo.
Not to really discredit any other promotional products, because we all know how great the entire promotional products industry is and the products that we sell. But, how often do you use, a coffee mug, for instance, when you're drinking your coffee, that's it. And most of the time that's not leaving your house. It's great for, personal, your own personal use, and that brand loyalty, so to speak. But, if you wear a shirt, that's great as well. You're putting your logo on a shirt. If you got a hat on, that's great. Particularly through the summers, but this is something that people are going to have to wear. Yeah. Or if you're bald,
right.
Sure. We're actually saving your life.
Hats are a big deal in my house.
We're actually saving your life, man. You're welcome.
We're doing our part.
Thank you, Jeff.
And so, yeah, I mean, putting the opportunity to put your logo on somebody's face and actually have those people love the fact that you're giving them that product and then supporting it and wearing it out in public because they have to. Like you can't think of a better branding opportunity. It's just crazy. So, just my recommendation would be, don't be so doom and gloom. Let's figure out how to sell some masks and hand sanitizer and other things along those lines, because there's so much business out there to be had right now. There really is.
There really is. And you can also pair those up with kits, like back to work kits. I know Jeff, our buddy Jeff over at ETS, he was on a webinar with me and we were just talking about it. He actually was the first one to bring that up. And this was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, talking about back to work kits. Okay. You might not be able to get all of the products from Tony or me or Jeff or, Jeff Franklin here, but you could put together these kits for your customers and then have a la carte items like a lanyard or hand sanitizer or whatever. So like by Stephen, actually, this is a good question for you. If the suppliers came to you with these go-to-market strategies, these back-to-work kits, back to school or back to camp or back to sports or whatever, like, how do you think that would be taken by your customers? Would they like that? Would they like for all the thought to be taken out of it for them? And
Yes, we would. I mean, I think we would like it because, it's, I don't want to drop a bomb on this train of thought here, but I think that it is worth noting. Some distributors are doing very well and other distributors are not. And I don't know that that's necessarily the fault of their own. Like some of them, it's, I did game day giveaway t-shirts and that was my specialty. And, now there's no playoffs. Now there's no sports. I lost a ton of business. Right. And it's very hard to pivot if that's your people and those are your buyers, or, you can try all you want, but if that's who you had, and prospecting right now is super difficult because a lot of times they're now, they're already serviced, right? So prospecting a lot of times requires getting in front of people, right? Or doing different things. So, these things are very helpful, but it's only going to be helpful to the people that have the right client base. And I'm trying to be light with it because I think everyone can use them and it helps them generate their ideas and it helps them say, okay, well, maybe I can try to do something like this. And
right.
It's super, super helpful. But I don't want to be.
No, this is good feedback because it's not for everybody. And that's why
I don't want to be,
I'm locked in right now.
Well, I think that gives you a ton of insight on, why it's been so important to diversify your client base. I know PPAI and ASI, like when you do their education sessions, like that's always a hot topic. Like, you have to diversify. You can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And
so I feel bad for anybody that has done that in this situation, but ultimately, like it gives you a really good reason why you might not necessarily want to do that.
I do think though, there's difference between diversification for something like a recession, right? Which is, I would say, almost easier to plan for than a pandemic, right? Because in some cases we were affected by supply chain, which has nothing to do with my diversification, right? Like if the factory wasn't open, I couldn't sell it regardless, So there's some of that, but there are, you can be diversified and still be affected. So like, for example, like we had universities, hospitals, apartments, some tech companies. That seems very diverse. But if you dive deeper into it, the hospitals put stuff on freeze, because they wanted to wait and they were so focused on PPE stuff. But a lot of that then went to open bid with not using promotional stuff. So it was anyone that can supply us anything. We need it. It's a need, not a want, right? So that some of the apartments, they had to stop their grand openings, right? The universities didn't go back to school,
right?
So it's, the only places that were really doing well really had to work at it. And you guys, actually, some of you, I'm actually working on projects.
Universities has actually been the biggest market for me in selling face masks.
Yeah.
Because everybody's planning to go back to university in August.
True.
And so most universities are doing a socially responsible thing. I mean,
have to do bids because they have the $49.99 policy, right?
Yep, which is why you want to sharpen your sword and have the right sources, right?
Yes, except that now, me being a license, right, who has a regional license, instead of having to bid with local companies, it's put up to national bid, right? So I'm bidding against everyone in the country that sees this on the procurement site. So I'm not selling on any of my core competencies now. I'm selling on price. And so it's strictly who comes in with the lowest price on this product wins the bid. That has nothing to do with my face-to-face relationship with anyone. No creativity is allowed. It is literally price. And we'll do what we can, but to be honest, anything that's gone to bid in our 17, 18-year history, we've won 0 of them. And we've even done the grandfather match thing where we get it notarized, and if we're within 5%, they'll give it to us because we're in the state of North Carolina, and we go back and look and people are getting these for 5 and 10 points. It's like, okay, take it. So it's just unfortunate because the business is there, I think, more on the supplier side than the distributor side.
Yeah, because we're going to get it at some point regardless.
It's going to come in regardless.
So did all licensing go out the window then for colleges if they're opening up to anybody?
No, that's not true. That's not
Okay.
entirely accurate.
Okay.
But what it does is it opens it up to national license. So
I
like
gotcha.
if someone
lot
has like a CLC general blanket license as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to just a local license, now anyone that has it can participate as opposed to just a local licensing.
Okay.
So we still have some advantages and we're still getting some things. I mean, I'm not going to say it's doom and gloom because I think like Jeff's point, you got to stay focused and positive, and there are
Yeah.
opportunities out there. I do think that some people have more opportunities than others, and I think that's sometimes no fault of their own, and
So, Stephen, I know because we need to wrap up here because we're
Sure,
getting a little
yeah.
bit late now. But I have a
Yeah.
question for you in closing. And so, how many email blasts are you getting a day from suppliers and from folks that you've never heard of in your life before?
Yeah, so I get, I don't know, a few dozen at least, but I can pretty much weed out just by the signature line and the title if it's someone that I know or if it's someone I've never heard of before. And so what I usually do is delete the ones I've never heard of. Suppliers that I have heard of, though, I'll look at them. Is kind of where I'm at now because I'm so weary of the
Yeah.
international.
Yeah, you don't wanna
like
get
I
burned.
just started with the so I'm like I want to stay in my lane here and I'll look at it.
So a few dozen is probably on the lower end of what I've heard from everybody that I've spoken with. Most people are 50 to 100 or more a
Wow.
day, almost. Yeah.
Wow.
So that being said, I
Need to
don't
update
think
their spam filter.
I don't think the end users are any different. I think they're getting email blasts from distributors all the time.
Mm,
And so, the problem is there's so much white noise. So what you have to do is really try to figure out a way to separate yourself from all the white noise. And the best way to do
Absolutely,
that is very much an old hat method. Pick up the damn phone.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you got to call your clients. And if you don't have their phone numbers, you got them on LinkedIn, you've got them on Facebook, you've got them on wherever, send them a message and get their phone number. Figure out a way to get in touch with them. Because picking up the phone and having a conversation with them is the only way you're going to get that business.
Yep.
And to your point, yeah, there's a lot of universities that are going out to bid, but everybody's ordering masks because everybody's going to need them because everybody's going back to work. There's 326 million people. Is that the right number? Somewhere in there in the United States? Like that's a hell of a lot of masks to sell because everybody's going to need at least one. But let's face it, you don't just wear one pair of underwear or buy one pair of underwear. You buy a pack of them.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to need 5 to 10.
I just dropped off 3 more to my neighbor who's a hairdresser. She's going
And that's
through a couple
fantastic
a day.
for suppliers that are supplying
It's
masks.
fantastic for distributors that are trying to sell them too.
And for underwear suppliers.
And for underwear suppliers,
Right.
yeah.
For sure.
Everybody's killing it. So you know who else is killing it, guys?
Let me think. Tervis?
Yes. You know why? Because Americans dispose of 50 billion single-use plastic water bottles.
Ooh, that's a
You know
lot.
that? That is a lot.
Save the
freaking-
turtles, man.
There's a lot of plastic.
Save the
Only
plastic
23% of that is recycled. So the annual U.S. recycle rate for plastic is about 23%, leaving 38 billion single-use water bottles to enter the landfills. That's crazy. Absolutely
It's a
crazy.
lot of Adidas shirts right now.
That's
So,
right.
about 500 billion disposable cups are thrown away in the U.S. each year. And Tervis has produced and shipped over 150 million tumblers since 2000, which could have prevented a potential I'm not going to do the whole number. It's over 1 billion single-use water bottles from entering the landfills, waterways, and oceans every year. So basically, they've been making high quality reusable plastic drinkware that lasts longer. Their colorful and expressive designs also make it something that people want to hold on to for a lifetime. They'll also offer an industry leading guarantee that ensures any product deemed defective and returned to them is replaced with a new one and encouraged continue sustainable practices. The return drinkware is not just recycled, but upcycled into new usable materials to prevent any contribution to the waste system. So definitely please visit them at tervispromos.com for more information on that. Any other closing comments or point of views from anybody?
No, I'm great. I'm glad, Tony, you can make it. You had some
thank
great
you.
perspective.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you very much
Good.
for
Maybe
for
we'll all
joining
do
us.
some traveling trunk shows together,
That'd be
I
great.
think we will. We'll have to.
We should definitely do that. Tony, when are you planning on getting back out on the road? Do you know? Do you guys have a plan for that?
Like 2022.
Yeah, sweet. It's a good solid date.
Right.
Solid. for sure.
Actually, Mandy Rudd actually chimed in on Facebook, and she did say that eBlast have definitely slowed down, but for a couple months she was getting high double digits emails daily, letting her know that XYZ's company plan for COVID was, and then
Mm-hmm.
now she's getting low to mid double digits on PPE offerings daily. So
Yeah, that's
there's tons of white noise out there. So thanks for that contribution. Brandon's chimed in and basically said that we should definitely do a lot more golf course meetings. So that's something you guys can look into.
Terrible at golf. You guys don't want me on the golf course.
Yeah. What was that, Tony?
Human interaction.
There
Human.
you go.
That's right.
People want to get back to seeing each other. They really do.
They do.
God knows I do. That's
Yeah.
for darn sure.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Tony, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Guys, check out Ariel and definitely give Tony a call and give him a hard time. All right.
Take care.
Thanks
Bye,
for joining us,
guys.
guys. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.